was for Mark Donahue, who was Bob's partner, and they made driving suits and racing accessories, if you will. And I guess that little company, we'll have to ask him for clarification, has become the huge current company, which is a tier one supplier. That's as big as you can get to automotive manufacturers, making floor mats, BMW, etc. I think BMW, since they first came to this country. Anyhow, Bob, if you'd be kind enough to come up and ignore that terrible introduction. There's a microphone. You'll have to turn it on.
Great. Thank you so much, Dick.
So start with the IMSA race that day, 1972. Were there many people here? There was more than one class, obviously. Most of us don't have a clue.
Yeah, I think there were 2 classes, and I think that day there were like actually 9,000 people is what they said was the attendance, which was a lot of people. But, you know, as you mentioned, it was a terrific race for Porsche. And, you know, Lime Rock has always been a great equalizer for cars, and the smaller displacement cars could always do well at Lime Rock. And the car that Jim Locke and I had that day was a 911 ST, which actually was a very, very rare car. The factory only built like 8 of those cars specifically for FIA World Championship Racing. And Joe Hoppen, the competitions director of Porsche, arranged to have that car flown over from Germany for Jim Locke and I to race. First race was in the 6-hour World Championship race at Watkins Glen, which we did well. And then the best race was obviously here in '72.
Can I take you sideways for just a second?
Sure.
And this won't mean anything to anybody in this room, probably, except me and 2 other people. Bob mentioned Joe Hoppen, who was the man at Porsche then. Joe Hoppen, who was a German-American, was the ultimate manipulator and master of sanctioning bodies, the factories, and anybody else. And John Bishop, who was running IMSA then, started IMSA, was a wonderful guy, was almost picked on by Joe, who, I mean, Porsche had the best racing cars. You know, they were almost the only factory that built cars you could race right out of the box. And so, tell me, how did he get that to be called a sedan? This is a 911.
That's right, that's right. Well, they really fudged that. I mean, we were racing, they classified the Alpha GTA as a sedan also. And it was all kind of a quirky specification with the dimensions of the little rear jump seat in the back of the car. So our main competitors was the Alpha GTA, Horst Queck and whatnot. But there's another great Joe Hoppen story which ties into that. We had done quite well with Porsche racing in the Trans Am series and at Sebring and Daytona. And when Porsche of America started the 914-6 SCCA program, they set up, I think, 3 different race teams, East Coast, West Coast, and I was bidding to get one of those teams. And Joe invited me to come down to Englewood Cliffs and told me the news that I wasn't getting one of those teams, but he said, Bob, I'd like to do something for you for everything you've done for Porsche. And they had like 6 cars there, cars that they had brought over that didn't meet US specification. And he said, Bob, you know, what do you offer me? Take all 6 of these cars. So, I don't know, Joe, maybe $5,000 for 6 cars, you know, beautiful car, 911, 914-6, 914-4. He takes me up to the vice president's office of finance and said, you know, we'd like to do Bob a favor. We want to give him these cars for $5,000. So that was great.
What did you get them, and what did you do with them?
Sold most of them. Sold one of them to my wife. Ginger, who's here today.
Was that a legal car? What did she say?
She said the engine blew up.